What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As we see the year come to a close, I just want to share some of my numbers with you guys from the 2020 year. This has definitely been a crazy year. We started off pretty strong in the year, just had a little weak finish, but obviously the pandemic and the economy, the elections, a lot of things are affecting Turo numbers around this time, and also the changes on the platform that happened earlier this year with the mileage allowance and the insurance policies being switched around. It's just been a wild year, and I'm really wondering how many of you luxury hosts even made it through the changes. Also this year, I got my first dose of long-term leasing off Turo, and that's leasing my cars to other people and they have insurance on the vehicle and they're just paying me like a daily fee. And I definitely will be looking to dive deeper into that in 2021. Kept reinvesting my profit this year, really didn't take too much money out the business. And also I bought a cool tire machine, a little over $2,000, but this tire machine is gonna save me a lot of money. I'm gonna be diving into my Turo numbers and showing you guys what I did, how much I made off my Turo business this year, talk about how many cars I had on the platform, also some events around my numbers, because you're gonna see it took a little dive there in fourth quarter. So let's jump right into it and take a look. Now, I know you guys know from an earlier video that I made, we started off really strong this year, actually just pick up the pace where we left off from last year. So let me show you guys my earnings over here. So here it is for the year, guys. In the year of 2020, I made $91,743. Now these figures are only after Turo's share. So this is what Turo pays me. Then obviously I have to pay my expenses like my insurance and so forth. But as you take a look at this chart, like I said, we pretty much pick up the pace where we left from right here in 2019. 7 grand, 8 grand months. And around this time, I still had right here starting off, I had about between 10 to 12 cars. Around this time in July and August, I had between 12 to 15 cars. And that's the most I ever had on this platform, was 15 cars. Since I hit that high of 15 cars, I just never got back up to that number. Right now, I'm currently at 10 cars, but I know you guys are probably wondering what happened right here in fourth quarter that would make my numbers go down this far, because obviously COVID started around March right here, and the lockdowns was in April. You can see our numbers took a dive in April. In May, people started getting a little more confidence and started feeling a little more comfortable, started coming out again. Maybe some people started traveling again. Not that many travel guests, but some. And July, I was just adding more cars on, was doing really good, really strong. So what exactly happened in fourth quarter? Well, I lost 5 cars right here in this month. Actually, from August, at the end of August coming into September, I started losing cars. Now, what do I mean by losing cars? Well, let's take a look at some of my vehicles over here. And I still have these vehicles listed because sometimes you have to send in an email to Turo to take it off the platform. But usually, guys, when I have a vehicle that was on the platform and I either sell the vehicle or take it off the platform, I don't immediately delete the listing, because sometimes you'll get tickets, driving violations from guests on their trip that'll be sent directly to you, and you have to pay it on behalf of the guests and then submit a receipt to get paid by Turo. And you usually have to find the trip in which it incurred in order to get your money back. So usually I'll leave the listing on for another couple of months just to make sure there's no violations coming in that I have to pay for, so I won't have no issues. So a lot of these cars that I sold or had to get rid of off the platform, I still do have on my dashboard, and that's the reason for that. So if you look over here, there's a few cars that I lost in, like I said, that August month. My Lincoln went down after only 1 trip. You don't like to put these kind of cars on Turo, and this is why. Maybe I'll make a video breakdown of what exactly happened. But my Nissan Maxima 2010 one, very good vehicle, was making great money. started having some front end issues. I was doing a lot of front end work and alignment on it. I think that somebody had an accident, the previous owner in this vehicle, so I was starting to see the problems now. So I sold it at the auction. When the car is in tip-top condition, I don't like to sell it to other people. I do have a reputation on the line. I am a licensed car dealer, so I'd rather keep the relationship good. So a lot of times I'll sell the car to an auction if I don't want to sell it to somebody on the streets, and I'll actually take a lot less profit than what the vehicle is worth, just so I'm not trying to rip other people off. That's not how I do business. But the Maxima fell off. My Infiniti, 2011 Infiniti, one of my best vehicles, got crashed. It was a fatality in that loss, and the renter was actually renting off me for a while. I really wanted to make a video about this, but it was kind of a touchy subject, you know, having somebody die in your car. But it happened, guys. You know, it's part of this business. They're driving the cars, you know. It only happened one time since I've been doing this, and I've had over 1,000 trips. But I mean, accidents happen, and you know, human beings are fragile creatures. So I mean, hey, it happens. I wanted to make a video about it. It was a little sensitive point, so I didn't actually go through with it. But anyways, I lost this vehicle right here. A week later, I already deleted my other one. A week later, I lost my black Chevy Impala. So basically, these Altimas right here, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention these, very important. These two Nissan Altimas actually got unlisted from the platform because they had safety recalls going on. And it's very important when you guys buy a car to put it on the Turo platform that you want to check the NHTSA website. That just stands for National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. If you go to their website and punch in a VIN number, they will show you if that car has any open recalls or recalls that haven't been performed on this vehicle. So I've had a lot of times where there's a recall on the car. I just take it into the dealership. They do it free of charge, and usually they give me a rental to ride in, and a day or 2 or sometimes 3 days I'll go and pick my vehicle up and everything will be all set. In this case, I took the two Altimas to the Nissan dealership, and they didn't have a fix for this particular recall, and there still isn't one right now. It's problematic when you have cars that you want to put on the platform but they have open recalls and there's no fix to it, because what will happen is Turo will actually just unlist it. But they don't just automatically unlist it. If the vehicle gets in any kind of damage, what they do is they run the VIN to make sure there's no open safety recalls. At that point, they'll usually find out if there's a recall and they'll have you fix it. But you'll still get paid, by the way. But let's say the vehicle was to get into a total loss and it had an open recall. Well, at that point, it's not guaranteed you'll be getting paid for that. So it's very important before you guys put cars on to make sure there's no recalls. If there is a recall, make sure you're calling the dealership and making sure they do have a fix for that recall before you purchase it. Because what'll happen, you might get stuck with a vehicle that you've already purchased or got committed to by financing, and it has an open recall, and now you can't put it on Turo platform, and it just defeats the purpose of you buying that vehicle. So make sure you guys are checking that vehicle on the website, and I'll leave a link down in the description also. That is a pro tip. If you don't get anything else from this video, jot that down in your notebook. It's very important. It could save you thousands of dollars, or it could save your car. So I know you guys are wondering, why not just take the money when I sold the car and just go get more cars? Well, around this time, the auctions were actually starting to lock down, and they were actually closed for a while. Then they started letting online only bids come in. So what usually happens when I purchase a vehicle from the auctions, I'll go over there, I'll check the vehicles out, I have them marked down on my list, and the day of the auction, I'll actually either go over there or I can just bid online for the vehicle that I've already checked. Well, when the pandemic hit and they started doing the lockdowns, they actually stopped letting people come in to check the cars out, but they still gave you the option to bid online. So it just increased the risk, because now you're not checking the vehicles out, you're only going off condition reports that the auction provides. And on top of that, to make matters worse, all the cars were going 1,000 above MMR. So the MMR is basically the Manheim value. Manheim is the largest dealer auction in the nation, and they set a particular value on a vehicle based on year, make, model, and miles, letting you know what the average price of this vehicle goes for at the auction. So MMR is a lot lower than, like, let's say Blue Book value. So as a licensed dealer, when I purchase vehicles, I'm looking to purchase at or below MMR, which is always a lot less than Blue Book value. So that's why I say on this channel, when I purchase the vehicles under value, if anything happens, even the next day that I put it on the platform, I'm gonna get paid out and I'm gonna make a profit because I purchased at a lower value. So what was going on at the auctions was all the cars were going above MMR. They were going really high, and we still couldn't check these cars out or bid live because of COVID. And the used car market just went through the roof for whatever reason. But most people are saying it's because the auto manufacturers weren't making new vehicles, which people weren't purchasing because they weren't making vehicles, and people were less likely to trade their vehicles in because they weren't making new vehicles. It just started a whole chain reaction that when it came down to us local dealers, it made the prices really high because there was less inventory and more people looking to buy. And I don't know if the stimulus checks played a role in that, but people were looking to buy cars and they were paying a little bit higher than they normally would. So this just didn't make a good environment for investing in Turo cars. And I have a set criteria before I purchase vehicles, and I don't like to go outside of that. So if I usually buy cars at MMR or a little bit below, or maybe a tiny bit above MMR, then I'm really not a fan of paying $1,000 or $1,500 above MMR unless it's a crazy ridiculous deal, which I wasn't seeing. So for a few months I just wasn't purchasing cars. I was rocking out with 7, 8 cars. So that's why my numbers look like that. I just recently added on a couple of cars because the prices have been coming down at the auction. So I'm very optimistic for 2021, and I think the prices will be coming back down as things start to normalize a little bit. So even though I'm really disappointed that I didn't cross the $100,000 mark in this business, I will have to say that this number, I'm not adding in the money that I was making from, let's say, damage claims or some reimbursements that we charge for either smoking or cleaning fees. And obviously I clean the vehicles myself, not including money I made from profiting from selling the cars. And even as an example, that 2009 Infiniti I made a video about, which I'll link down in the description, where I bought it really cheap. It was doing great as a rental, and I had somebody doing a direct rental. And then after that, I did mention that I was trying to sell this car. Well, I put the car for sale, and at first, that first week, I was getting hits, but nobody really checked it out. Then once I refreshed it on Facebook Marketplace, I was getting way more hits and more people were trying to come check it out. And the last 2 people it came down to, they actually showed up over here at the same time. I let them both test drive it, and I actually started a mini auction right in my office, and I took the highest bidder. So initially I listed the car for, I think, about 49. I dropped the price to 45, and I ended up selling it for 51. And I think I initially purchased this vehicle for $3,000 if I'm not mistaken, and I did rent it out for the whole year, and I turned around and sold for 51. So if you're doing your numbers like that in Turo in 2021, it's really hard to lose. I hope everybody has a great new year. I hope you guys are making big plans for 2021. There's a lot of negatives going around with the whole COVID, and we really don't know when it's going to go away, but I just want you guys to make the best out of your situation and just stay away from negative people, because it's so much easier to be negative. It takes a lot more strength and leadership to always have some optimism, and those are the kind of people I like to be around. So make sure you guys are hanging around those people. Be optimistic for 2021. Go start that new business. Go start that side hustle. Go ahead and get you a Turo car. Go ahead and get you an Airbnb. Put some money in the Bitcoin. Invest. And of course, guys, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video, and I will see you guys in 2021.